All right.
We're
Hello.
now live
Welcome
with
to
the
another episode.
Erasmus podcast. Once again, I'm in a tent. Don't mind that. But so to recap from the previous episode, so how has the training course in Lecce affected you, like physically, mentally, emotionally, etc., like all sorts of ways?
Yeah. I would first of all say just welcome to another episode of the Erasmus podcast. This is on a different channel, and we're going to talk about our Erasmus experience in Lecce in Italy, which was an Erasmus Plus project by Onde Italy. And we'd like to talk about our experience in general and would like to welcome you to, if you see this video, to share it with other people that might be interested in an Erasmus Plus course or could be interested in the future if they see something like that and hear us talk about the experience. It's all for free. So um, I'm going to say that much already. And now let's get to the topic. And maybe first of all, I start by mentioning just some of the information about the course himself, just very quickly, and then we talk about the experience. As I said, it was an Erasmus Plus course. It was for 10 days in Lecce, Italy. It was a human rights education training course where we learned about human rights on one hand, and on the other hand, how to teach other people their human rights, their, I guess, identification of human rights, how they deal with them, and how they think about them. And we learned education tools as well, like for social work. So, yeah, and it was for 10 days. And it was a group of people from Portugal, Spain, the Netherlands, Germany, and Greece, and Italy, two people as well, I believe. And yeah, so maybe about my experience just in general, I think it was a very exciting time. I always like my first and main incentive to do it was just I guess, the experience of having this international exchange. I always really enjoy that. I always really enjoy yeah, talking with people from other countries, from other cultures, getting to know their views, having a more, I guess, inter-European network. And I think it's always, and just searching for similarities, for differences. I think it's always like a lot of fun, makes me really happy. So I went on a full Erasmus semester from my university before, so I wanted to have a similar experience, maybe in a shorter term again, and also learn something on the way, of course. And yeah, I think I think that really worked. Like I really um, enjoyed the time with other people, got to know people from other countries, like Yannis here, for example, and also from other countries. And I think it was a great time. Sometimes it's maybe, I can say, for some people who are not quite sure if they want to do something like that, I can say that it's always worth it, even if it might seem scary at first or something like that. It's always worth it. And yeah, but maybe Janis, you talk about a little bit what you searched for in that project mainly and what you got, and yeah.
So when it comes to the things I got from it, I would say it's mostly experiences, connections, and just overall skills, things I learned for the most part, like competences, like that kind of stuff. So what I search for mostly is connections, like networking kind of stuff, but also like make meaningful connections with other people, especially on an international level, because in Europe it's quite easy to do that since we have obviously a lot of countries and it's quite easy to just get in and out of them with like the whole way the EU works. So you can just move around pretty easily with just an ID. So traveling between countries is quite easy. And I do like just making international connections. So for me, it's mostly and just about always about the people, but there's also always like the training course itself, like and the whole activity. There's stuff to do and stuff to learn all the time. So you learn something new every day, I would say, and pretty much everything that they teach you, even though it might not seem so at first, is still valuable because it just gives new perspectives, new ideas, new just things to be able to do stuff. So I think it's quite valuable in that sense.
Yeah.
And aside from that, I would say that just the dissemination activity we're doing right now and the one we did before is like a pretty good example of like the whole networking like connection part, because it really showcases that you can make good friends with people and like you can still connect afterwards and
Yeah.
like you
The
can
connections still like they're conserved. They still stay after this, after being there. And maybe we're also gonna visit each other at some
yeah,
point in the
some of them
future.
are gonna age like a fine wine, you never know. So
Age like a fine wine. Yeah, that's a good point. I know. I think you told me that like you did other projects before, or you will do other projects in the future. I think you are on one right now, correct?
I mean, I can't in Czechia. Like this, I am in a project right now. I'm taking time off for this. But yeah, so actually, since you mentioned that you've already done your Erasmus semester, I have not done it myself, but I am curious about like how it compares to the Erasmus Plus experience, maybe.
Yeah, I think an Erasmus semester is it's where it's just where you have a whole semester, you actually live in the city, you get a place there and everything. Of course, a lot of things are different, and you also study there. That also makes a difference, and just the amount of time you spend in a place, and that you have to organize yourself. You have to do like a learning agreement on which courses you take and how you get ECTS for them. But I think the key or the gist of it, why you really enjoy an experience like that, is really similar. I think the main point is just the international exchange again, as I told you, and
Yeah,
I think that's also where you learn most. Of course, studying in another country is always like you learn about their academic culture and everything, but I think you still learn most when talking to people from other cultures. At least I felt like that. And yeah, I enjoyed both a lot. And I would also like to
absolutely
go.
mine.
I would also really like to go on another like Erasmus project in the future. Maybe youth exchange, not a training course, but I'll see. Um, Talking about training course, I
Was
would
it
maybe
actually your
you can. Sorry, go again.
was it actually your first one, like the one in Lecce?
Yeah, it was actually my first one. So I haven't done one before, but I would really like, because I still always see the catalog. Quick recommendation: the catalog for the Erasmus Plus projects. They have an Instagram and they also have a website, and so you can always see which projects they have. And they're literally all over
Yeah, it's
Europe.
very
You can go all
streamlined.
over Europe,
Quite easy.
and they'll reimburse you for the travel costs. You'll stay there and eat there for free, and you'll get the course. You'll get to know the people. So, and they even have some in like Tunisia or Algeria. Some of them I've seen. So even in North Africa, but mainly Europe, of course, but all over Europe. Um, but yeah, I would maybe, because I just mentioned the training course, we talk about the contents a little bit of the training courses, what we enjoyed, what we didn't enjoy as much, and what we would have liked to change. Maybe so the big part was always that we sat in the group in like in round chairs, and or like in a round of chairs, and we and there was some input from Sandra, who was Sandra and Jacopo were the two people from Onde that guided the whole project and organized it. And she always gave an input, like start talking about a topic or what you can, oh, what's important with that, or what's important with education in that regard and social work. And she and then always like gave us a task of either like discussing something or giving her our take on it, or like doing a group activity where we talk about it in smaller groups, or also just very things like, which one thing I really enjoyed is we had basically, she made a spectrum of, there was one chair here, one side of the room, and one chair here, and one chair said I agree, and one chair said I disagree. And then Sandra was where I am basically right now, and she like read out a take, something like a statement, for example, like freedom is more important than safety or something like that, or it's the first priority of every government to protect freedom and not safety or something like that. that sounds very political, but there were also other statements which were a little bit more philosophical, I guess. And then what we would do is like stand anywhere in the room on the spectrum of disagreeing or agreeing. So where if we like strongly disagree with that statement, we would like be very stand very close to that chair. Or you if you would totally agree, you could stand very close to that chair. And if you're somewhere in the middle, you could stand there. And then like first of all, we would let people take their stance, literally, and then discuss it. And I think that was just a great activity to because some people also then after hearing an opinion changed their stance. So I think it really made you think about your own take, other people's takes, and the topic in general. And I also believe if I'm going to do social work in the future, I think that would be one tool I would really like to use because it really gets people involved. It's like it's just interesting. You see where other people stand, then you have to think about your own take. It gets people involved. Like no one is just sitting there and watching a presentation or something like that. So I really enjoyed that tool. But there were all other kinds of things we did. Also, like we learned also this tool of if you want to, I guess, showcase or portray your idea of, for example, if a eco-friendly future in which all no human rights are violated and all sorts of that stuff. And then we had to do a collage of basically having pieces of paper from journals or from newspapers, cut things out and put them on a piece of paper. So in total, there would be like a picture or a collage of what that would be for us. So that was a tool I think is really cool because it's very creative and also gets people involved. It's also a fun activity, just like use the scissor and cut things out and talk to other people while doing it. So great activity as
Yeah,
well.
we came up with some
Um,
pretty interesting results in that one too, actually.
Sorry,
I would
what
have
you
liked to
said?
discuss those. I said we came up with some pretty interesting collages in that one because
Yeah,
some of them were really spicy. I would have actually liked to discuss them, but we didn't get the chance to.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, that was unfortunate. Is there like which tools did you like most, or what was the, I guess, what were the activities you enjoyed most or thought were like the most useful ones? Sorry, I
But
can hear you right now.
overall,
Now I
would
can hear
say
you.
more it's like
Sorry,
like agree or
can
disagree, and then there's like
can
for
you
example,
restart
take three
maybe?
things with you to migrate are going there for different reasons, so they bring different.
Your internet
Hello,
connection wasn't that good. Can you restart?
can you hear me?
Now I think I hear you. Your video has also stopped, sort of. I think Yannis will be back in just a minute. All right, there you are. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. Can
I
you maybe
think
restart your take on your favorite activities? So which ones you thought were the best ones?
so. Honestly, my favorite one was the workshop one, where we each made a workshop, and well, we didn't make the workshop, but we facilitated it based on like the guidelines they gave us. I would have liked to actually get more creative on that, but I think the guidelines they gave us were quite good as well. So facilitating the activity was a really good experience for me, and I think that's always one of the better ones because it allows for some creativity while also like maintaining the like atmosphere of like educational learning, but also like informal, so it's like playful and fun. So for example, the ones that I did with the other four people was the one where we separate the groups into two and then we give them like some story like you're migrating to a different country for this reason and you're migrating for that reason. and then they take three things with them. And
Yeah.
you will see, like, based on the things they take, that it's very different based on the reasons that they're migrating for. Like, for example, the group that was going to another country to study or like get a new job was getting very much like unnecessary things for like daily life, like a guitar or like, you know, some random thing like a book. But everyone who was going there because of war pretty much just brought the essentials like food, car, that kind of stuff. So it was interesting to see the takes on that. I would have liked to actually have more time as well as more creative space on how to facilitate it. But I think that was my favorite activity in the like whole project basically. But I did like the spectrum of you either agree or disagree because it lets you valuable. It also lets you learn how to facilitate seeing other people's perspectives in future scenarios. So it does help with that as well. And then another one was the iceberg method, where you break down the problem into different steps so you can more easily understand the root cause of it rather than just problem existing, rather than problem existing because of this, which because of that, that's because of that. So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So overall, I would say the activities they had were really good. Like that was one of the highlights of the project in terms of like training value and like
Yeah.
just overall
I really
like
like that they were like challenging us to actually create something and not just to consume. For example, like once we need to use digital tools in some way, like basically create a TikTok of us basically advocating for one area of human rights. I think I had like against, against war and for peace or whatever. And like we before that we had like a quick brainstorming of what we want to write down and what we want to convey, and then I actually had
and then
to
you did a performance.
yeah, we had to record the videos, which wasn't that hard, but then we had to like we did with Instagram Reels, and like I had to cut the video and everything. I have never done something like that before, but of course I always consume Instagram Reels, but I've never created one, and so it wasn't actually that easy for me to do it, but and it took quite a while because we had very direct ideas or very clear ideas of what we want to do. But I actually managed to do it then. It was great because now I would know how to do it. Maybe not the most useful skill, but still a digital skill. So that was great.
That's something. And also it was just fun. Like for example, I
Yeah,
had the AI one and we kind of just made
that was great. That
AI
was the best one.
and
Yeah,
we also made
but
AI write the script. So yeah. It was
yeah,
basically AI defending human rights. So that's always fun.
and it was a video.
A
It
little bit of
wasn't
time.
just a voice. Yeah, yeah, that was great.
So yeah.
Maybe one thing we can also mention, just some information around like the course more because we talked about the courses for a little bit. I think the group was a group of 25 people, something like that, or 20
I think
around
it was
that.
26, but yeah. Like
26.
right around that ballpark.
Yeah. And so yeah, it was in a sort of not a church, but like the broader building of a church, like a I don't really know the word in English, but let me look it up for a second because we want to keep this podcast short because we want people to actually listen to it fully. Yeah, monastery. It was in a monastery building basically, and it was like an hour of a walk away from Lecce. So it was a little bit like capped off from the city, which had its downsides because we wanted to be close to the city or be able to always go to the city. But on the other hand, it was really quiet, a very focused atmosphere. You could really dial in on the courses and making the connections with the other people, which
Dude,
still
honestly, the
which
highlight
still
of that was just us walking for hours to the city and just karaokeing our way there and
yeah.
just being dead after.
Honestly, the walks to the city were way more fun than
Good.
they should have been. Yeah. And it just like we still always went
Yeah,
to the city. It
like
was
we
easy.
were just jamming to the city, and
Yeah.
then we got to the city, and we all have no energy. We just drop fucking dead,
Yeah. But we also
and then we
sometimes
walk back.
we just stop people like on the street and did like this, and then people from the street took us with them into the city, which was also always a fun experience because we talked to locals a little bit
Actually, the
more.
hitchhiking was life. Like
Yeah,
some
we
people just
hitchhiked.
hitchhike and just it randomly just worked. That's so
It
unreal to me.
it
They're
worked.
like,
Yeah. Like sometimes you wouldn't think it worked, but those are like some of the experiences you always make on these courses that you just have like you always have to talk to people, you have to be open-minded, but then you make so many fun experiences. We also in Lecce, we went out for a couple of nights and we after the course, like in the evening when we had no courses left, and we actually also, because Lecce is a student city, there's the Uni Saliento there, and we met a lot of also Italian students there, which also went out to the bars there. Lecce is a really beautiful city, can really recommend it. Not that touristy, just a little bit, of course, but not that much. It's really, really affordable. Great coffee, great pizza, and a lot of students like on Friday night, Saturday
great
nights.
gelato.
Was great, great gelato, of course. Yannis always had loved that, so I can really recommend that. And for the course calendar, or I guess the course schedule was always like pretty early wake up, like breakfast around 7:30, 8 a.m., I think. Then we had one course, then we had coffee break, another course, then lunch, then 1 hour break after lunch, then afternoon course, coffee break, and then late afternoon course. And the course were always 90 minutes. But as I said, you always have the like lunch break, then hour after lunch, you have the coffee break, so you always get enough time to talk to other people. And then in the evening, we either had like time just free on our hands, or we had like intercultural nights, for example, where one of the participating countries or the people from that country like presented their country's culture and did some funny dances maybe or played some music from their country. It was always a great time. And so it's really action packed these 10 days. Like it's not a holiday, but you experience a lot, and it's great, great fun. And as I talked about before, the connections really stay. Like I'm gonna visit one guy I got to know, Pedro. He's from Lisbon, and I'm gonna go to Lisbon in August, and I'm probably gonna visit him. So that's really cool.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah, I have to say I planned on going to Lisbon either
You
way, but
football lovers with that.
now I have someone there I know. Sorry, what did you say?
I was like, you football lovers, like you soccer maniacs, you know?
Yeah,
Because
but
I can
he's
definitely
worse.
like you kind of like the two of you basically established like the soccer gang. You were always watching the World Championship or something. I don't know what you were doing, but you were like always so focused. And the outbursts, when you just see you the two of you watching, and then both of you just explode at the same time when something happens. It was an experience in itself.
An experience in itself. Who would you say, which person did you connect with most, or which person could you see yourself visiting?
Oh, dude, now you're putting me on the spot.
Yeah, I do.
Maybe Costa because like he did say that he has like a home in like Marathon, and like he kind of invited a lot of people there. So like it could be like a group reunion. Like he invited me, Amr, Stephanie, and like a few others, I think.
Yeah,
So that could be fun actually. Just go there, chill, and just see what everyone's doing. So yeah.
yeah. Sounds like great fun. By the way, the people
Oh
you
yeah.
mentioned
See,
are
that's like
from
the main thing I like
Germany
about
and
it.
the
Like
Netherlands.
you connect with people.
Yeah,
Yeah.
great. I
So yeah,
think
it was a good experience.
great experience. Can
Like
really
I would,
recommend it. At least just try it once and first check out which course you want to do most, when you would like to do most. The catalog is very big, and you could do it at any time of the year. So yeah, I think
yeah, I would
that
recommend it.
yeah, I think that wraps up the short little episode of the Erasmus
If
podcast. We
there's
want to
anything to
keep
take
it.
from this, it's the Erasmus project. Yeah,
Sorry,
I
what
would
did you
say that
say?
Erasmus projects are definitely. I would say that Erasmus projects are like definitely a wild card experience. Like you never really know what to expect. You can
Yeah,
kind of expect some things, but whatever happens there is always just something to remember. So like that's why I mostly recommend it. And it's also just a great way to meet people and just really find things you're missing perhaps in life, like friends and stuff like that. Because the friendships you make do tend to last sometimes. So I can recommend it for that.
Yeah. Yeah. Great point. Great point. I
But
hope
yeah,
that keeps
we're getting a
motivates.
bit close because
Huh? Yeah, sorry. I'll just say one more. Yeah, we'll end it off here. I'm going to share this with some of my university friends and friends from school. I hope if you like it, you can also share it with some of your friends that might be interested. I want a quick little rundown of what to expect in Erasmus Plus project. And thank you, Yannis, for helping me with the podcast. And I hope you have a great time in the Czech Republic. And
thank you. It's going well so far. I made a spoon. Cool, right?
that's pretty cool, actually. So yeah, that was it.
Yeah,
Bye
I'm
bye.
burning up in the stand. So yeah,
Yeah. Enjoy yourself. See you.
have a nice day. See ya.